Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, whatever time of day it is, wherever in the world you are. I am Stacy-Ann. So this week's chat is about real or the carbon. Which one would you prefer? And importantly, which one are you? Are you a carbon copy? All right, so I'm going to show you two things. See that? It says authentically me. And then there is this that also says authentically me, but it's a lot more difficult to see. The original and the carbon. So as we talk about carbon copy and the original, we realize as I showed you, the original is much brighter than the carbon, right? And I was thinking about this the other day and decided to share with you because the carbon is the imitation, it's not the original. It's the original is there, and they used the carbonized paper, whatever, to imprint on the other, but it will never carry the same weight or value as the original. And so that got me to think, how many of us are walking around as carbon copies? How many of us are walking around fuzzy, not being in that spotlight, because it is that we are copying other people? Now, there is absolutely nothing wrong in seeing someone and admiring them and wanting to emulate some qualities in order to polish off or to refine who you are, right? Because we have all been fearfully and wonderfully made in the image of God. And as it is that we move around in this life, we see things, that we need to take on or to adapt or to really refine in ourselves to become the best versions of ourselves. But it's never for us to walk around in the shadow of somebody else, to be a carbon copy of someone else. And I'm going to share with you some reasons why we should never be the carbonized version of someone else. We should never be that one walking around in the shadows. So the first thing, as I said, shadows. So the first thing is, when you look at the original is bright. It is clearer. It's much easier to read. When you take the carbonized copy and you look at that, it's a little bit dull. It's a little bit fuzzy. Now, people, the original gets a spotlight. When you think about life, when you're walking in your authentic self, whatever spotlight is supposed to be on you, it's on you. When then you walk as a copy of that person, the spotlight is on them. You are then cast in the shadows, right? And so you're not really being seen, because guess what? That person is walking in their purpose. They're walking in whom they are created to be. And so the spotlight is on them. But when you come now and you're walking right behind and you're right there, right behind that person, spotlight on them, you're like the shadow. You are cast in the darkness, and your true self can never be seen, right? The next thing is, when you're walking as a carbon copy of someone else, do you know that you might be dwarfing yourself? Yeah. You may be limiting yourself, because guess what? You're seeing that person as the ultimate. You're seeing everything about that person, that they are perfection. But there is perfection also in you when you walk in the true you. And it may be that what is inside of you that you need to cultivate, that you need to grow, that you need to harness, that may be bigger. That might be bigger than what it is that you're limiting yourself to. So you see this person, and this person is the CEO of a company, and you say, oh, that's good. And everything about this person, I want to dress like this person, I want to be that person, I want to talk like this person, whatever, right? And you now become some kind of version or carbon of that person. That person is the CEO of somebody's company. But guess what? If you would just allow the true you to come forth, if you would just allow yourself to be cultivated in the way that you're supposed to be cultivated, if you would just allow yourself to grow in accordance with whom you have created to be, you might very well be the owner of a company and not just the CEO, which is a big position, right? But you might be called to ownership of a company and not to be the CEO of somebody else's company. So when it is that you're carbonizing yourself, right? If there is such a word, you're carbonizing yourself, you're pretending to be somebody else. You're dwarfing your true sense of purpose, your true sense of worth, because you're limiting it to exactly where that person is and where that person might rise to. When it is that you might be called to so much greater than what that person possesses. And that doesn't say that person is bad or that they're limiting, but they are walking in the path that has been created for them. They are walking in their God-given purpose. And it is for you to also do the same as you pursue the opportunities that are for you, and as you pursue getting to know you some more, and as you move in the direction that the Lord has called you to move in. Also, I want to say to you that when we are copying other people, when we are walking as a carbonized version of someone else, guess what? There are people who have been sent in this world to bless you. There are people who the Lord the Lord has positioned to be your destiny helpers. Who the Lord says that Stacy-Ann Nelson, this person is to take her to that next level. This person is to help her to go through some doors that she wouldn't be able to open by herself. But because Stacy is not positioned in her right self, because Stacy is wearing the mask or is wearing the cloak of Susie, whomever Susie is, but I'm walking in the shadows of Susie and I'm wearing the clothing of Susie, guess what? My destiny helpers can't locate me if I do that. They can't see me because I am masquerading as somebody else, right? And so you, as I mentioned, destiny helpers are sent to help us. But guess what, baby? If we're walking in the shadow of someone, the destiny helpers will not see you because you are not walking where you are supposed to walk. You're not on the street where you're supposed to be. You're not in the position that you're supposed to be, because it is that everything that that person is doing that you're copying. And as I said that, there's this thing that says copy the right cat. Copy the right cat doesn't mean mimicking or becoming the other person. It doesn't mean being that single white female kind of behavior. If some of you have watched that movie, it means emulating, as I said before, some characteristics, some good things that you see this person, this person is exhibiting. But it doesn't mean becoming a mini version of that person. We have not been created to be like anybody else. We're fearfully and wonderfully made in the image of God. We're authentic. We're supposed to walk in that authenticity. The next thing that I want to share with you is that the growth that you are supposed to experience is not just for yourself, right? When you're walking authentically in you, it is so that you might impact the people that you have been called on this earth to impact. There are people who are waiting on us to be in our right positions so that they can move into their position, so that their life can move in the direction that your life is supposed to move in. But if you're busy over on Susie's street, if you're busy being like Susie, you're never going to experience that growth that you will then therefore be able to impact the people that you've been called to impact, and you'll be judged for it, right? So while it is that we might see people and they're moving up and they're doing the things that are good, and we admire that, and we take some of the tactics, the strategies that they use, it's never for us to be wearing their garment. It's never for us to be wearing their garment. The carbon is always fuzzy. The carbon is always behind the original. The carbon is always behind the original, always fuzzy, always in the shadows. No spotlight hits the carbon. The spotlight doesn't hit the carbon, right? And as for you, as I said, you do war for yourself. You don't allow your destiny helpers to find you if it is that you're walking as a carbonized copy of somebody else. You don't impact the people that you have been called to impact. And you stay constantly in the darkness if it is that you carbonize yourself, right? So my word to you is walk in your God-given purpose. Walk in the authentic self that you are. See people, admire them, but never, never try to become somebody else. It's not your garment, right? That seat is not your seat, but you might have a bigger, greater, better seat that the Lord has prepared for you. Remember that a copy of the Mona Lisa will never be worth as much as the original Mona Lisa. So be your authentic Mona Lisa self. Never be a carbon copy, because you're not dull. You're bright, and the light must shine on you. So blessings, love, and peace, right? And thank you so much for joining this week's episode. And I look forward to you to like, share, and subscribe. And may God continue to cover you. May the Lord continue to bless you. I love you and I'm rooting for you. Now go out and be authentically you.